Okay, so thank you very much indeed for coming in on the debate here. We do a crew travel report every year in Ship Management International, and it's important. The readers of the magazine, we print as well as digital. So we print the magazine as well as going out to about 44,000 digital ship owners and managers and the industry at large as well. They need to know what's going on in your sector. It's really important that they understand what the challenges and the opportunities are, as far as all of that is concerned. And so what we'll do with the report today, we're filming it up the top there, and then we'll edit the debate. So it'll be about a 45-minute hour debate, and just a good opportunity for us to chat and to talk. And then it'll also, so that'll go out to all of the readers as a nice video that they can download. It'll be on the SMI website as well. But then we'll also do a write-up in the magazine, in the January, February issue of the magazine. So there's good publicity for all of you. But some really, really key things. So I just really want all of you just to relax. Just feel that we got some general questions here, but we'll develop them as well. So there's a lot happening in shipping at the moment. There's a lot of stresses and pressures that ship owners and charterers and managers are going through, and crew are going through, and I'm sure that will start to come through. Everybody okay with that? What I'm going to do to begin with, I'm going to get each of you just to give me a sort of 1 minute, 2 minute précis on introduce yourself first, so we can detect the voice and the name and what have you for the transcription. But then also just give us a little précis on how you see the market and the key issues that are facing you from your perspective, and then we can then develop that as well. Gets you talking as well. I always find with these webinars, it's like amateur dramatics. Everybody's really nervous to begin with, and once they're on stage, they don't want to come off. So, yeah. So I'm going to start left to right on my screen. It's George. George first. Do you want to just introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of a 2-minute snapshot on how the issues facing the crew travel sector at the moment, and what's on your dashboard?
Right. First of all, Sean, thanks for having us. It's a pleasure. Actually, it's one of the few times that we get to see everybody in one screen. So usually, we bump on each other on the hallways of either conferences or courses in general, around Greece, around Athens. I am George Kyvernitis. We are, I would say, a significant player into the crew travel maritime industry here in Greece, with clients in Greece and abroad. I think the challenges that we're currently facing are many. To name a few, I would point out the regulations that are being placed currently into the industry. That would be one that is quite significant for me. Second one is obviously technology, which many of us hear a lot, and very few that we speak to can really relate on what technology is or they can put technology into the market. And as far as the market, I think the habits of the market haven't changed. They're still demanding as they used to be. They're still price sensitive as they used to be. Not much has changed. So in a nutshell, I feel that we are in a train trying to move forward and trying to change locations constantly, trying to stay active and progressive in how we service our clients, and trying to find innovative ways to generate as much of value as we can against the existing relationships that they already have, or relationships that we are looking to breach. So, in a nutshell, that's what I would.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you. A few points there that we'll be touching on in our discussion in a few minutes. Kostas, you're next. Could you introduce yourself and then some views? Yeah. Sorry, sir.
I'm Kostas Oikonomou. I'm the CEO of Marine Tours Group. We are a travel management organization specializing in the marine and offshore sector, as well as corporate travel. Being in the business for the last 46 years, I'm obviously second generation. Really happy to be here. I've been a few times before. Panels, really educational to see, the insights from other market players as well. Well, the global marine, let's say, industry, the biggest challenge is the crew scarcity that the sector has at the moment, together with geopolitics. And the significant time that these geopolitical challenges are taking to be resolved, either if it's the Houthis or the issues with Iran or with the Ukraine and Russia, and how is this going to play out, or Greenland, etc. We're seeing great political intervention, global political intervention in the world, in the sense that, and this creates definitely issues as regards crew travel, generally crew issues. So one thing is that a big challenge which we can only adapt to. It's not that we can do anything. Okay, we don't know what's going to come to us next. Secondly, definitely technology and distribution technology coming to our side is a basic issue. And our suppliers, the airlines, it's not that they're making our life easier. Sure, they're a lot more educated after the COVID period. They have realized the importance of the maritime industry, and they have learned a lot as regards what is crew travel, etc. They put it in the map. It wasn't in the map, but during COVID, because it was their almost only business, they put it in the map. This has good things, but also bad things. Because from the one side, you have the airlines that they want to increase their yield, and you have the clients that don't want to pay as much. And we're in the middle trying to do the best possible at the end of the day. So distribution technology and suppliers is the other challenge. Finally, I would say AI is a challenge in the sense that the market may think a lot of it, and maybe it's not there. It's not going to do the miracles everybody thinks it is. Now, why is this a challenge? It's a challenge because I think all of us will have to pay top dollars to adopt AI technologies. But I don't know how this will be able to be monetized and absorbed by the market, our market. So that's it for me.
All right, Kostas, thank you very much indeed. Some very valid points there. And I think with the whole issue with AI that, you can just see ship owners now going on to ChatGPT and saying, can you get me the cheapest and the fastest route for my seafarers from one place to another? Not realizing one of the expertise of the...
That's why I said what I said before. The expectations out of this technology are far higher than what it can actually bring on the table, at least for now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, lovely. Cameron, you're left to right here on my screen. So could you introduce yourself, and your reflections would be welcome.
Yes, thank you, Sean, and thanks for inviting me here today. It's nice to meet you guys on the call for the first time. I'm standing in for Paul Cronje. I'm the head of operations here at Clyde Travel Management, and I think it's important that we stay outward focused as an industry, not just in ourselves, because we're sharing similar problems. And I think there's things that we can learn from each other to make Here, I'll watch what I say about AI because I've got two AI representatives here on the call. Read.ai, watching what I say, so I will be careful.
Yeah, they're just typing up. That's all they do.
Yeah, I'm joking. But yeah, I think if I could put the challenges into three categories. For me, the first is cost control. That's been mentioned a couple of times already, but it's an obvious one. But it's volatility in fares. It's not just the original fares, but it's last minute crew changes as well, as we all know. When we need to make reissues and new tickets, is all of that changing, making sure that we're still getting good value for money for the crew, and being proactive as well. If my clients are going to chat GPT to ask them how to save money, then it means maybe I'm not there in the right place having the conversation. So I would want them to ask me for that expertise. So it's not just about finding the fare when asked, but being proactive as well to help them make better decisions. The second category, I think, is seafarer well-being. It's something that we're seeing spoken about a lot more, which is a good thing because it's not just a nice to have. Because an exhausted crew member turning up after a milk run of a flight is a risk as they do their handover and join the ship, but also when they're deciding on their career offshore, how those flights impact and engaging with seafarers. We hear firsthand how going the long route to save 50 pounds, what is the ultimate impact on that seafarer and the risk on the crew change. The third is around process efficiency and technology integrations. We're here talking about AI, and we're going to get into it more later. We're talking about logistics, which can be handled by pure human heroics at the moment with spreadsheets and whiteboards and people holding it together, and bringing that into a world of expectations where an AI tool can just provide answers and written content in seconds. So it's making that leap from where some crewing logistics are handled in that really manual, lots of handovers, lots of manual compliance way into a digital age.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Cameron. Thank you. I think actually when we do start the questions, we'll go straight in on AI because it's fresh in our minds and stuff like that. We'll go in the others. It is fascinating area at the moment. Chris, let me introduce you. If you can introduce yourself and then just some points of perspective as well from you, and then we can then get.
Good morning, everybody. Sean, thank you. It's good to see familiar faces and industry colleagues here. I would agree that I think we do all face the same issues, and I have nothing groundbreaking to bring to this part of the conversation. I think I agree the growth rate of the industry is something that we're all running to keep pace with. The current state of play with the geopolitical issues out there, which again puts additional stresses on the governmental side of our business, the visa challenges. The airlines certainly aren't doing us any favors with their pricing pressures. And then I would say one of the things that seems to be changing over the last few years is that there's a lot of new technology out in the industry right now. And with new technology, quite often ship owners, ship managers, customers use that as an opportunity to reevaluate their suppliers, right? So as you're changing, having a change agent in your shop, oftentimes that creates let's look at this, or it may be the suppliers that are bringing the technology toward the aim of supplanting the existing suppliers and other suppliers within the company. So adapting to this and ensuring that you have the technology, that you have the tools, that you're able to come with what's needed to solve these issues that the owners and the ship managers are looking for. I think that's key. And if you're just sitting waiting for your phone to ring and get that phone call that says, "Hey, we're reevaluating suppliers," that's where you're going to start to feel that and understand that you are falling behind. So I think that's key. Yeah, I would say that's. And by the way, I'm Chris Podolsky. I'm with Global Marine Travel. I'm head of global sales for Global Marine Travel. and I'm general manager for North America. So that's the intro.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for some valid points there. So we're going to go straight into the sort of questions. And please, just everybody, free for all here. I mean, I'll pick on people to answer, but stick your hand up, that way, or you can do the raising your hand like that and stuff like that, or whatever. But just really jump in if you can have points that you want to raise. But we all know each other. We've all had a introduction now, so we've got some good points here, which we want to get a good discussion going. Coming in on this AI, Chris, I think you raised a valid point there. And it's all about what value the suppliers can bring to the marketplace. Whether that's me as a publisher or as a PR company, I say to my clients, here's my value. My value is I know the industry. I know how to get the stories that you want into the media. I know how you need to slant it. I know exactly how to get that narrative in the right way pushed out to position you as a thought leader in the marketplace. ChatGPT and AI can't do that. ChatGPT and AI is one-dimensional. And I think really when you look at your industry as well, you've got to be looking at, I guess, areas that you can actually enhance the service that you're doing with the help of AI. Let me come on to Kostas on this issue. How are you guys sort of utilizing AI now to your benefit when you know that your customers are going to be doing it to reevaluate, as Chris says, reevaluate the suppliers?
Okay. Let me take it one step back, Sean, saying that at the moment we're seeing again quite strong mobility from the supplier side as regards distribution and content. In the past, the last 20 years, we had consolidated content primarily within the GDSs. Okay. Nowadays, in the last 3-4 years, we've seen initiatives that are driving supplier content to different channels, not necessarily within the GDS, with the adoption of the NDC protocol. Now, for me, when we're discussing servicing the marine and offshore industry, we need to offer a full content approach to the market. Okay, so we and they can have respectively full access to the available content from the suppliers. So that's one thing. At the moment, we don't have this. We have it fragmented in different channels. Some airlines have their own platforms, others feed the GDSs, others are in the process of feeding the GDSs. So I cannot say that there is a technology nowadays, an AI-based technology, that accommodates all that multi-channel content to accommodate it in one platform, okay, and being able to offer competitive and valuable proposals for the client, for the traveler. At the moment, as Cameron said before, we have small heroes within the travel organizations that are coping exactly with that. They're fighting to consolidate the information prior to offering a quotation to the shipping company. And I'm saying fighting, they're fighting with different and diverse interfaces, because part of the information is there, another part of the information is there, and it has to be consolidated. So AI has not yet penetrated, let's say, the distribution technology. Although I know for a fact that airlines are using AI for their own revenue systems to increase the revenue yield they receive from the market. Now, from our side, I think that the sector is in a discovery phase. How we can utilize AI for internal automations as a first step, prior to seeing what we can do for the market, for an end user, let's say, interface. Okay. I'm using the word discovery phase because I think the world is in a discovery phase about AI in total. I don't know if it's overestimated. I'm saying it's a super useful technology, but we are all in a discovery phase at the moment.
I think I'm going to bring Chris in because I know you had your hand up, but the whole thing about AI, you turn around and the next minute there's massive new developments going on. It's going at such a pace. We see it in our daily lives. I find it quite amazing when you get asked to prove that you're not a robot. I mean, on software, can you please do this little test to make sure you're not a robot? I mean, it's just happening and accelerating. Chris, you put your hand up there. Just
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we have to recognize that there's AI in almost every tool we use today, any type of technology or automation tool we use today. It's in the booking platforms that we're all using for our customers. Hopefully it is in the booking platforms that we're all using for the customers. At GMT, we're using it quite a bit, actually. We're using, as we're starting to develop those tools that will help better with, as Kostas mentioned, aggregating content in order to make sure that you're providing the means for your customers to consume your full content. The airlines are parking different fares on their websites. There are different fares in the GDSs, different fares in different locations, and it's important that you're able to aggregate that in a way that your customers are able to have that choice. But we're using it for back office reconciliation work. Our commercial teams are using enterprise AI for KYC functions, background checks, identifying UBOs and sanctions checks. So there's a lot of ways that it's being implemented today. And one thing we have to make sure we all are aware of, if we're not, is that the pace of this is frightening. How fast things are moving. So I think the technology and data-driven optimization are key in our industry right now. As I mentioned earlier, ship owners are investing in new crew planning software that involves all aspects of the journey, travel just being one part of the door-to-deck experience. So it has to be. It's very good because it's fully automated from the TMC perspective, but it does put full control of pricing with the owners, which can drive pricing down, I would say. So.
But I agree with you that the pace of change is frightening, absolutely frightening. George, you got your hand up there, George, and you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I think it was pretty much said from Chris and from Kostas. Obviously, AI is not here to, change the role of the wheel. AI is the big thing right now. There's so many investments being done in the space of AI, and I think that as far as technology is concerned, it is the next big thing, and it is going to be a big thing. As a matter of fact, a lot of shipping companies are currently using AI to get results and get answers on questions about either on how they're going to optimizing their routings or optimizing the way that they will process some of the internal operations that they have. And I see that more and more often. Unfortunately, the way that the whole content is being distributed to us, we're left with very limited options, even though I personally feel that it's a one-way road to use AI within the business. So currently we are using AI in order to improve the speed and accuracy and basically cost control across the company in the internal operations. I don't feel secure offering AI to clients. I think internally we have, as a service-oriented company, we have a lot to save from using technology and using AI. And I think that's what would be the focus of the future. Now, as far as the AI being used on crew travel and crew rotations, I think that the complexity of the crew rotations, the compliance that still requires a lot of jurisdictions to be checked based on visas, and the fact that it cannot yet replace a professional. I think we still have a long ways to go until we offer it as an alternative to any of the clients. But I would like to raise a third point, which I have found a lot over the last couple of years, and I think that has to do not just with AI, but with technology in general. Given that we are a service provider and we are, as Kostas very well mentioned, we are a middleman here, we find a lot of times that we need to balance between the adoption of technology and therefore AI of the client and how fast we will move and pushing the product that we currently have as a company. In a lot of cases, shipping companies, even though they do use technology that might be extremely innovative, and they do use it, they try out systems for efficiency or for making their operations smarter. At the same time, they don't open the door to connect those systems to systems that we might have in order to make the full use of that technology. So there are limitations to that. And I think we are entitled to wearing a lot of hats and making a lot of assumptions depending on who the client is and what the technology adoption is for that particular client.
Okay, George. Kostas, you got your hand up as well. Just you got some comments.
Yeah.
And then Chris.
Following up on what Chris shared, yes, for mid office and back office operations, AI is quite useful. Again, OPEX, transparency, data safety, etc. These are important elements also, reporting. Okay, but at the moment, the issue of client applications, aside from, let's say, the administrative part, the communication between the shipping company and possibly an online tool, etc. Other than that, I'm still concerned if we can have an active application using AI. But it's coming. The speed of this technology growing is amazing. So yeah.
Okay, Chris, and then you're on mute, Chris. Yeah, it's just up the top.
You would think that so many months and years after COVID, we would have all figured out how to take ourselves off of mute when it comes time to speak. So that's technology right there. I think that agentic AI is going to continue to evolve as a new channel for booking, and it's moving very rapidly through the leisure sectors and the corporate sectors, and that includes how travel is searched and how the content gets distributed and then how you service it as well. I think it's a sea change in our industry coming. I think it's going to be comparable to when online booking first came into being. Travel is already where AI is starting to make an impact in people's lives. But to George's and Kostas's point, I mean, the human element is key in our business. You can use AI very easily, very quickly to establish to answer complex questions. But then those have to be put into practice and put into use, and they have to be done in a way that is compliant and that is that works for your customers. I think, when we talk about ChatGPT and the off-the-shelf brands, I think we have to be very careful, and people have to understand that those are public forums. So if you're using anything that's not an enterprise version and you're putting something in there, that information then becomes available and to be consumed by everybody else in the world, right? This is a community. The AI those platforms are community platforms. So, I think we will see times when people are putting information out there like, hey, evaluate this proposal for me. And then that proposal then is becomes common knowledge. Anybody can ask those questions. So, but I do believe that it is going to create an upheaval in the industry. It's happening now, and I think it's if we're not starting to, or already as we are seriously looking at ways that this can improve our customers' experience and our businesses, we're going to get run over by it.
Just before I come on to Cameron, just to kind of you talked there about creating an upheaval. Just you put a bit of flesh on the bones on that, and how you see that upheaval being transmitted out into the market, and also will AI make competition and ease of entry into the market by competitors easier or more difficult? What are your thoughts, Chris?
I think you have to choose which path you're going to go. I mean, this is a time when it's do you do it or don't you do it? There's there are opportunities here, as I said, on how travel is searched and how it's distributed. We look back only a few years at airline NDC and when that came into play and what people did and the steps that they took. And a lot of people invested a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of energy for something that the airlines then, their technologies were lagging behind. I think some of those challenges are going to be solved by the airlines when it comes to using artificial intelligence. And I think that's where you're going to start to see where some of these AI factors are coming into play. It is, aside from if you look at the jobs that we do, it's not just booking an airline ticket, right? There's all the parts and pieces that come with it, as we talked about, getting crew changes ready to go, understanding all of the regulatory issues. Those can all be answered by AI. Putting it all together and then being able to source that content is something that's going to be key for. I think that's the way that this is going to be coming in. The GDSs are eager to work with marine TMCs, but the speed of technology that's been driven by AI is moving much faster. The days of big technology projects being driven by the GDSs are a thing of the past. But there are a lot of third-party players out there that are leading the way, and AI is one of those places where that's happening. So, so build versus buy becomes a much more careful decision than ever before when it comes to technology.
Okay, lovely. Cameron, finally come to you there. Sorry about the little bit of a wait.
No, that's okay, Sean. It's a really interesting topic. I'm sure we could spend a lot of time on this one alone.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we started with it first, because AI, it is a revolution. We don't speak of it that way, but it's an information revolution, and it's going to have impacts as big as historical ones that have come before it. My washing machine at home is fully automated. And I'm not comparing AI to washing machines. I think that's a mistake, but it's a similarity that I draw, and it maybe puts my fears of AI at ease to think, never underestimate how adaptable humans are. As soon as COVID hit, we were getting crew around the world, all from home. I started this job at home, didn't meet any of my colleagues for a couple of years, and we effectively ran a business and got crew around the world and figured out when countries were stopping crew from coming in on a Friday night and only allowing them to realize their mistake on Monday morning and re-allow them back through their airports. So I think humans will adapt and look at what is AI enhancing. I think, though, and this was touched on a bit by you there, Chris, is for this to be meaningful, it needs to have governance and security in place first. And that is to make sure that we're using secure AI models, not the public forums, that our data, that customers' data is all secure. And having security and governance models in place in an organization before everyone is just throwing sensitive data into an AI. I think our customers will continue to look for our expertise, but we're going to have just much better tools now to get them information. So I think as AI helps us automate, it's just going to raise expectations. Like if I draw back to the washing machine analogy, it doesn't mean that we had nothing to do, and I don't think we'll have nothing to do all of a sudden. It's just that expectations will increase. You can look at data complexity, and errors in data will not be acceptable in an age of AI, where you can have quality control and data fixes happening and interacting with all of these systems through AI. I think it's not that it's a good question, Chris, the build versus buy. I don't think we all need to wait for the best chat bot and how we're potentially using one of the chat bots, but rather also our suppliers and how they're using chat to interact with that technology, so that, you know, if I'm using an online booking tool and I have a question about my flights, I can ask it in that natural language format. It's the same data I'm pulling on, but I'm querying it out of the system in natural language and making it more accessible. So the information is just so much faster to get to, and I know how to prompt it to get the answer rather than scroll through tables or try to search it myself. So I think that speed and the accuracy of data is going to just increase expectations for things like expertise and answering those questions, which might be difficult to answer. Is it less expensive to crew change in this port versus that port for these nationalities? Those types of questions will be much easier to pull out once the AI is interacting with the data better. But it needs to be secure. It needs to be governed.
So some very good points there, and I think that raising expectations is a key thing, because we're all going to, within the industry in all areas, we're going to be under more pressure to deliver better solutions and quicker and more cost effectively, etc.
I just want to add something
Kostas, yeah.
here. You know, all this safety and security and cyber security, etc., doesn't come cheap. It comes with a cost. Now, access to this technology means that someone needs to pay for these costs, you know, at the end of the day. And at the same time, we have huge struggles with pricing our services out there. Not only about competition, but market sentiment as regards our service levels and the pricing of our services overall, plus the technology required. So if you ask me, that's going to be a great challenge going forward.
A very good point there. It again comes down to cost. Chris, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just 2 quick points on what was raised just recently. So Kostas's point, yes, but like, maybe unlike many other things in our industry, the cost of this is coming down because AI is writing AI. You don't have big development houses out there buying that are sitting and working on creating projects with using code. AI is helping to write AI, and the right AI companies are out there are using it, and the speed of which this is happening is very fast. And then to Cameron's point, when it comes to using AI as a desktop tool, we still employ a lot of agents, travel agents. I think probably all of us grew up as travel agents. So the co-pilot module is one there that is starting to be seen more and more, where an AI co-pilot is assisting an agent to get to those answers and to solve those problems without having to go to Google and say, do I need a visa for Turkey for this guy? So these are the areas which it's starting to creep in almost immediately.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go into some of the other questions, but keep the AI will come through on your answers as well. Just really want to get an idea of looking at from the airlines perspective here and how they're adequately meeting the demands of the shipping industry. We've been hearing a few bits about pricing and about the availability of the suppliers and what have you. what's the situation regarding the airlines at the moment, and how cooperative and responsive are they? Do they need to up their game? Who wants to come in on that first? Cameron, do you want to have a little go on that? Talking about the airlines?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chris. So, or Sean, sorry. So I would say some airlines are, and some aren't. And I think where we see clear value or understanding of the industry is value in the fares. This is a good industry for the airlines to provide year-round demand that doesn't have the same peaks and troughs of other seasonal travel, so corporate travel or leisure travel. This is filling seats all through the year. And we see quite quickly the airlines that see and value that became crystal clear in COVID, especially for just keeping people moving. But then thereafter, with additions of lounges or just the right type of fare that's offering value compared to the other fare types that are on the market. If the value is there for the crewing company, let's say the marine fare, then that makes it more attractive to book that airline for that shipping company. The other thing, though, is the networks. The networks have to be there. That getting from home to the ship to the port, if it requires going landside instead of staying airside, that has implications on visa requirements. And so having airlines work closely together to make sure that those routes are well connected, that there's good networks in place, will mean that those airlines are recognizing the needs of this industry. These are complicated routes. There's different visa requirements. Geopolitics came up earlier, which is a really good point, that's often changing quickly. And so those networks are really important.
George, you got your hand up there?
Yes, my hand was up on the previous point, but I will make I want to add something on the previous question as far as travel is concerned, and then I'll get to the airlines and your question, if that's okay. Cameron mentioned a very good point. I think we all have to acknowledge that travel is part of a series of chain of operations within the crew department of a shipping company. Even if AI is developed just like that for the travel industry, which is not, we still need to connect it with the rest of the operations within that department in order to generate some kind of efficiency. And that's where it gets more and more complex. Now, if I do isolate the whole operational structure of that crew department, and I get back to the travel thing, I think then it comes down to what Kostas mentioned in the beginning, which I fully agree, and that is the distribution of the content from the airlines, which is currently being distributed in a way that each airline fits. Basically, whatever they're doing with their product, whatever they see fit on the basis of maximizing the revenues and so on and so forth. So in order to get that information, to get that accurate information on the basis of clicking all the boxes that currently a professional does, I think we still have some time. Not that the technology is not out there. There is technology, but I'm afraid that as it happened in the past, where online booking tools were used on the basis of price comparison and not so much on assisting the company or generating efficiency into the travel department of a particular company, because it required particular travel policies, because it required specific development, and the companies many times didn't have the ability to have this. They were left as price comparison modules and just that. Now, as far as the airlines is concerned, I think the airlines currently are making money. Currently, the airlines are going through one of the best times of their historical lives. They are renewing their fleets. They're investing in routes where traffic generates steady volume. They're trying to train their staff and understand the requirements of the crew. Yes, not all airlines are doing that, but I think after COVID, they realized that this particular segmentation is extremely important and vital into getting the planes moving. So they have realized that they need to have more personal-led investing and invest on a more structured product, meaningful for specific routes for that particular industry. Not all airlines are doing it. I think, and this didn't happen this year. It happened in the past, but I think the fact that some airlines have created lounges for transit within those airports, it really shows that they do respect the crew and they do feel that it is important. Obviously, this is more important in key crew hubs like the US, Greece, the Philippines, Singapore, all the Middle East. But we're slowly seeing it in other areas as well. They have realized that after COVID that crew travel is not a very low yield traffic. On the contrary, it's very high yield and it can really, really generate some revenue and important revenue for them. Like I said, especially on some particular routings. Yeah. So I think overall, they have narrowed the gap between what was in the past and what currently exists. They still have a lot of ways to go to cover the grounds of how the crew well-being requires based on the charter of a ship. But I think they're slowly getting there, obviously taking into consideration what's important for the rest of the segmentations, which are much bigger than the crew travel. And this is the leisure and the corporate.
George, thank you very much for your comments there. Kostas and then Chris. And then I want the last 6 to 7 minutes talking about geopolitics, but over to you guys. Yeah.
The airlines, it's a big ecosystem. Some airlines are marine and offshore market literate, and some others are not. It has to do also what's their strategy, etc. But the ones that are focusing in the marine segment, they're very, very supportive, large network, good technology, good content. And they really want this segment to work. They realize the value, they're flexible, they're adopting, they're adjusting. So their presence is really good and strong. Primarily, these carriers, are Middle East carriers. Now, the majority of the carriers don't necessarily have great expertise in the marine and offshore segment, nor the technology or their revenue structure in their systems to support it. In most cases, the marine segment is being cannibalized by leisure and corporate travel, especially in very high traffic destinations like the US, for example, or nowadays regional European destinations are quite expensive. In any case, for me, again, revenue management technology from the airline side is a main issue, and how they program it to respond to the market quotations and the priorities, and flexibility. Flexibility is key.
Yeah, yeah.
They're becoming better, though. Okay, they were far worse 5, 6, 7 years ago. They're becoming a lot better.
Certainly, I've been doing this this debate for about 10 years, and certainly that's what I was getting back the feedback, years before, about the airlines needing to meet the needs of the industry in a better way. But Chris, what are your thoughts? And then Cameron.
Yeah, so Kostas stole a little bit of my thunder there. I was going to mention this. Yet certainly there's room for improvement from the airlines, with a few notable exceptions. We talked. It was mentioned that the airlines like Qatar have opened their lounge and go in Doha to let the crew. Crew welfare is a big issue with GMT and a big consideration. So for us, that's a valuable partner. Giving the crew the opportunity to rest, refresh, and shower, and that sort of thing. Yes, after COVID, the airlines did a complete reset. So they're controlling to a much greater degree the pricing and availability. I think we can all just agree with when was the last time anybody was on a flight that wasn't full, right? We had airlines that removed their marine content for a little while, and then fortunately, pressures on them were able to bring it back. I think understanding that marine travel and crew travel is a necessity. They are absolute necessity if people want to have toilet paper in their homes. But I would say as well, Kostas mentioned, marine travel is important to the airlines, but it isn't the main focus for profitability for the airlines. For the airlines, the content routes and pricing still favor other sales channels like corporate and leisure and other channels. So marine travel is important. It's just, I don't think, the first consideration when the airline executives sit down and start looking at their pricing models.
Okay, Cameron, your thoughts?
Yeah, just to take it from there, Chris, I think you're right, and you see that with NDC, that NDC is leisure first, OTA is adopting, and marine fares is a long afterthought, but that could help reduce distribution costs by purchasing that marine content. But the marine content through the NDC channels has to be more flexible, whereas it appears flexible for some airlines, but not every airline works the same. So whilst we talk about legacy technology with Edifact content, it's actually really flexible to work with for a travel consultant to piece fares together to get the routes correct, to be offered all of the options during disruption and not only the airline's preferred options, which we sometimes see through NDC. So I think that the airlines just need to be aware of the competition in the types of fares available, because what we see is that customers are more open to a flexible NDC fare or a low-cost airline. Not always has to be the marine fare. Depends if there's enough value there. So if the marine fares are priced too high, then the customers will be looking for other options.
We've got about 6 minutes left. We've just been chatting away for nearly an hour. It's amazing. I want to talk, just to get your views a little bit on the geopolitical situation. All you need to do, well, I wouldn't recommend looking at the news here in the UK, because it's all just completely gone down the toilet, I think, with Prime Minister's about to resign and everything else that's going on. But when you look at the geopolitical situation, and it's quite strange that everything that's going on seems to have shipping at the heart of it all. You've got Trump, arresting Venezuelan tankers. You've got Ukraine, Russia, impact on trade. You've got Gaza. You've got the Red Sea being shut. Shipping is there. Give me some idea on how you're dealing with the geopolitical situation, because when I speak to ship owners, how on earth they plan their strategies, their operating strategies, when they might well be having to sort of move around and switch trade routes and all the rest of it. But Kostas, you're jumping in first. What are your thoughts on this? It's a big issue.
First of all, geopolitical challenges is the marine sector's Candyland. In the sense that whenever you get disruptions, yields go up, and it's good for the market as regards the shipping part. Of course, for the charters, it's not the same. For the end consumers, it's not the same. Now, geopolitics. I think they're here to stay. They're not a challenge anymore. It's the new normal. Since COVID, we are in a geopolitical nightmare, either caused from the pandemic or from a warfare in Northern Europe, or from what's happening in Gaza, in Venezuela. Everywhere in the world, there is a challenge that affects shipping, that affects traveling, global trade, etc. Adaptability.
Yeah.
We need to be adaptive. We need to have access to information. I think, Chris, you mentioned it before, through all means. Our people need to have access to information, credible information on what's going on out there, so we can share, network, having guys on the ground in every location, either local or partners. What say you? It's really important, and plan for the unexpected. I know this may not make much sense, but there need to be at least a couple of scenarios of what if.
Yeah.
Okay, at least having a model to address it, and also, start putting the client in this equation as well. I mean, we can act like geopolitics is something to handle as an aftermath, and not beforehand. I think we should be prepared. They're here to stay.
Well, I mean, I think that point about adaptability, and that's the strength of shipping. It's always been known to be agile. We saw it through the COVID, moving around, keeping trade going and all the rest of it. But then you do need to have all those other components of the supply chain that are helping shipping to be agile as well in what they're doing. George, you've got your hand up as well. Your thoughts? You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, I think as far as geopolitical is concerned, I think I can definitely say that I'm not an expert. Okay, but whatever we read and whatever we can interpret in the way things are happening, I think we're living in the world where the king are the natural resources of a destination or a place. And given the fact that we're still, even though we tried over the last couple of years to live in a world where everything is going to be green and eco, and we will definitely have a lot of variables on the basis of how green a ship is moving or a car is moving. We're still seeing that the oil and the tankers are actually moving a lot of what the world has to pose in terms of mechanism, either that's airplane or cars or everything. So given that the major, I would say 98% of oil is being transported with ships, I think this is the reason that geopolitical aspects like the ones we've seen, or challenges that like the ones we've seen in the Gaza or in Venezuela, are influencing a lot of the indexes, I would say, of the natural resources. So I think, yes, it is challenging. Wherever there's challenge, there's always opportunity. That's how I would call it. It's, for me personally, it's nowhere near to what we witnessed in COVID. There are some ways out. Whether that is actually making our lives more difficult, I couldn't agree with Kostas more on that. We are getting challenged on a daily basis. Whether there is a regulation that comes out of the US as far as the Russian crew that is being transported, at least if I can speak for the country of Greece, a lot of shipping companies are using Russians as crew, so it's difficult to take them out. Or whether it's the dry bulk and Ukraine, which is one of the third powers in terms of natural resources on. And currently there's a shortage of getting getting the resources out of the country. But I think the world is, I wouldn't say, it's not the right word, is used to these kind of situations, but we are adapting into the changes that are happening, even though we are based in Greece or people are working remotely, a lot of people are adapting on what's happening, given the fact that there's a lot of unknown, whether the next big thing is going to be China and Taiwan or it's going to be something else. I'm not quite sure. But I think shipping has the ability to adapt and has the ability to find ways to move the product, which the product actually helps the world move around.
Thank you, George. Chris, and then I don't know if Cameron has any comments he wants to make, but Chris?
Yeah. So on the topic of geopolitical instability, America has entered the chat. I'm an American, so I can say that. Look, I think we're all on the same page here, and the crew welfare and safety are of the utmost. I mean, this is what we're all about. The regulatory requirements and the challenges of bringing a crew member across the world on a journey, through different countries who may view him differently, all the way part of the journey to getting him safely on board the vessel is the most important consideration for everybody in the supply chain, from the owner down to those working on board. So I think that we're all in agreement. We understand that to Kostas's point, that this is nothing new. Nothing. It's certainly we're in a very unstable time with everything that's happening around the world. But I think as stewards of our business, it's most important, and it's key that we understand that crew welfare and safety is the most important thing here. And it's incumbent upon us as a part of that journey in order to ensure that we do everything we can to ensure that we do everything right and get it right down the line, so that those crew members do make their assignments and then make it safely home.
Thank you, Chris. And Cameron, have you got any comments you want to make?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is agreeing with what's already said, but I think I absolutely agree that this is not temporary. This is now structural. There's no sign that protectionism or instability is going anywhere. So then it's up to us to think of the practical applications of that in our industry and in the companies that we're working in. I think if we look back at COVID, the value of our specialist knowledge increased during that time, because if Schiphol is suddenly closed and you need to get crew who are supposed to travel through there, and you need that crew change to happen, then you need experts to help you find those solutions. And Kostas, I think you said, not just to respond in the moment, but to work with customers on alternatives. If this happens in Iran, this is a real risk to escalate. Then what? And what is the impact on your travel policy? So it's for the corporate as well, because our shipping companies aren't just crew, but do they have corporates flying to that area, and what should they be aware of, and what are the things that we can plan in advance with them? So yeah, there's a lot that we could discuss. It would be fun to discuss over a beer or a wine, but it's the practical application of it that we need to focus on. Is what does that actually mean, that we change the way in which we behave or that we interact with customers? In corporate, you speak a lot of duty of care, but you need to be able to find out who's in a location very quickly and be accurate, and to make alternative arrangements for them at any hour of the day. So that access to information is critical with the instability and with how quickly things can change. I never thought Greenland would be something that would be a topic of risk, but here we are. So you have to be able to respond to those things.
And it might be the Panama Canal next, I guess, but we don't need to talk about that just at the moment. Could be anything. George, final word from you on this?
Yes. Funny enough, I was reading a report the other day, and it was actually mentioning that the crew travel market in 2024 reached 1.4 billion, and is projected to grow at a 7% rate by 2033. So there are a lot of ship owners who are putting orders of ships in place for them to cover the need for transporting these natural resources. So I just want to give basically a context of what it is that we are going to be facing in the future, other than that technology, other than the growth of the market, the shortage of the crew, and the difficulty in how these operations are going to be, whether it is that the health protocols or how difficult the regulations for the visas are. I think we're up for a lot of challenges, whether we can use that technology over there, or whether the knowledge of our professionals, or the knowledge that we have, given that in this panel everybody I think has more than 20, 30 years of experience into this industry. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of challenging times in the future, and that would require a lot of planning and a lot of good assessment in order to perform the correct or the appropriate tasks.
Well, thank you very much indeed, George, for those comments, and to all of you today. It's been fascinating. I mean, there's a lot happening in the industry. We could have carried on chatting for another hour. It's an exciting time, it really is, But as you say, it's all about being prepared for that as well, and working with your partners. I think really making work as a wonder and as a market was. But I just want to say thank you very much indeed for your time today. We'll write this up. We'll whiz it over to you guys just so you can have a little look at it before it goes in, so you're happy. All right. As I say to everybody on these sort of debates, don't dramatically change your stance or something, because it tends to affect what the guy after you says. So you won't do anyway. But yeah, so I'll send those over to you. But thank you very much indeed for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank
you. Really, really good debate. I mean, you guys know your stuff. And it's fascinating to hear your comments. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
And have a good rest of the day.